On Thursday, October 16th, 2025, the world outside Katie Thurston's window was anything but ordinary. Autumn had arrived in full force, painting the city in shades of gold and rust, but this morning the colours were blurred by sheets of rain and the relentless wind. Katie Thurston woke to a storm that rattled her windows, the glass trembling with every gust. The sound was a wild symphony, nature's own alarm clock, impossible to ignore. The downpour drowned out any hope of a peaceful morning, turning the usual quiet into a constant drumming roar. The wind howled, the rain hammered, and the world outside was a swirling mess of grey and water. Leaves danced wildly in the air, swept up in the storm's chaotic ballet. Most would hide under the covers, wishing for a quieter day, but Katie saw adventure in the chaos. The storm was a challenge, a story waiting to unfold. She peeked out, grinning at the tempest, while her cat Tommy eyed her with pure disbelief, his tail flicking in protest at the thought of venturing out. The flat felt too quiet, too still, compared to the wild symphony outside. The cosy warmth inside only made the storm's call more tempting. Katie felt a pull, a spark of excitement she couldn't ignore. The storm was more than weather. It was an invitation to break routine. With a determined sigh, she decided against a day indoors. Adventure, she thought, was waiting just beyond her front door. The storm was calling, and she was ready to answer. She reached for her boots, her heart beating a little faster with anticipation. That's when her eyes landed on something in the corner. A splash of colour, a bright umbrella, something that would turn this blustery day into an unforgettable adventure, and perhaps the start of a story she'd remember for years to come. There it was, a rainbow-striped umbrella, bold and bright, humming with secret energy. Katie picked it up, noticing a tag. For days when you need to fly. She laughed. Fly? With an umbrella? Why not on a day like this? Donning her yellow raincoat and boots, she became a walking burst of colour. Tommy the cat meowed in protest, but Katie just winked and headed for the door. The wind shoved her as she stepped outside, rain drumming a wild welcome. She gripped the umbrella, feeling like she was about to launch a ship. With a whoosh, the rainbow canopy sprang open, a vibrant shield against the storm. This wasn't just a walk, it was the start of something magical. The adventure had officially begun. The moment the umbrella opened, the wind turned fierce, as if the sky itself had been waiting for this challenge. The air howled and whipped around Katie, tugging at her coat and hair, making her squint through the sudden spray of rain. The umbrella became a wild creature, yanking and twisting with wild intent, its fabric snapping and straining against the storm's relentless force. Katie's knuckles whitened as she gripped the handle, determined not to let go. She found herself in a tug-of-war, feet skidding and sliding on the slick pavement, the umbrella straining to break free from her grasp. Each gust threatened to send her tumbling, but she held on, laughing at the absurdity of it all. For a split second, she actually lifted off the ground, flying, sort of, in a wind-assisted hop. The sensation was both thrilling and a little frightening, like being caught in a dance she hadn't rehearsed. She laughed, exhilarated and a little terrified, as the storm became her dance partner. The wind spun her around, and she let herself be swept up in the moment, feeling more alive than she had in ages. The trick wasn't to fight the wind, but to move with it, angling the umbrella, letting the gusts guide her. She learned to read the rhythm of the storm, shifting her stance and adjusting her grip with each new surge. Soon, she was gliding, dipping and spinning, turning the struggle into a joyful game. The city street became her stage, the wind her invisible partner, and the umbrella her colourful prop. Passers-by watched from windows, amused and amazed by the yellow figure battling a rainbow down the street. Some smiled, others pointed, all caught up in the spectacle of her wind-blown adventure. Katie wasn't just walking in the rain, she was navigating a tempest, a true explorer in her own city. Every step was a victory, every laugh a small rebellion against the storm. The storm had become her playground, and for a little while she was unstoppable, dancing, laughing, and embracing the wildness of the wind. Katie's colourful journey drew attention. A grumpy man with a broken black umbrella paused, then smiled at her wind-wrestling triumph. Children huddled under a shop awning giggled as she spun her umbrella, their boredom forgotten. A lonely woman in a cafe window looked up, smiled, and found a moment of brightness in Katie's passing. Even a small dog stopped to marvel at the swirling colours. The umbrella wasn't just a shield, it was a beacon, connecting strangers with a flash of joy. Katie realised her solo adventure was anything but lonely. Each encounter was a spark of connection, a reminder that even in a storm, you can bring a little sunshine. The city felt warmer, despite the rain. Every adventure needs a mishap, and Katie's came in the form of a monstrous puddle. She aimed to leap it, umbrella in hand, but a rogue gust sent her flying off course. Splash! She landed squarely in the middle, soaked to the waist, her umbrella floating nearby. For a moment she just sat there, stunned and dripping. Then laughter bubbled up, loud, unstoppable, and full of life. She splashed her hands, sending ripples across her personal lake. Who cared about being wet or looking silly? This was the heart of the adventure. The mess, the unpredictability, the sheer ridiculousness. It was all part of the fun. She retrieved her umbrella, grinning at the absurdity. Sometimes the best stories come from the biggest splashes. Soggy but undeterred, Katie wandered into the deserted park, boots squelching with every step, the steady drizzle painting the world in shimmering silver. The air was cool and fresh, filled with the earthy scent of rain-soaked grass and leaves. Despite the gloomy weather, there was a quiet beauty to the empty park, as if it was waiting for something magical to happen. Under a great oak, she spotted an old man on a bench, coatless, smiling at the storm as if he belonged to it. He seemed completely at ease, his eyes twinkling with a secret joy, unfazed by the rain that soaked his hair and shoulders. Concerned, she approached, offering her umbrella's shelter, her voice gentle as she asked if he was all right. The old man looked up, surprised but grateful, and welcomed her kindness with a warm smile. He assured her he loved the rain. It reminded him of his late wife, who had always danced in storms. The rain, he said, brought back memories of laughter and love, of days spent together beneath grey skies. He noticed her umbrella, eyes lighting up with recognition. "I had one just like that," he said, his voice trembling with emotion, showing her a worn tag on his own umbrella, for days when you need to fly. Katie's heart skipped a beat. Her umbrella had the same tag, the same faded handwriting. She stared at it, realization dawning as the pieces fell into place. She remembered finding the umbrella in a dusty thrift shop weeks ago, drawn to it by a sense of nostalgia she couldn't explain. Now, she understood why it had felt so special. She realized with a shiver, this was his lost umbrella, a cherished gift from his beloved wife, lost to time and now found again. She handed it to him, and he held it like an old friend, his hands trembling with gratitude and wonder. They sat together, sharing a quiet moment beneath the rainbow canopy, the rain falling softly around them, connecting two strangers through a simple act of kindness and fate. Sometimes the storm leads you exactly where you're meant to be, bringing unexpected joy and new connections when you least expect it. Fate, it seemed, had guided her here, reminding her that even on the rainiest days, there are surprises waiting to be found. The old man explained he'd lost the umbrella a year ago and had returned to this bench every rainy day, hoping. Katie's wild adventure had brought it back to him, an unexpected gift on a stormy day. With gratitude, he offered her a sturdy black umbrella in exchange. "It's not as cheerful," he chuckled, "but it'll get you home dry." They parted with smiles and new memories, two strangers bound by a shared story. As Katie walked home, the rain eased and sunlight peeked through the clouds. She realized her adventure was never just about braving the weather. It was about connection, kindness, and the magic of embracing the unexpected. Sometimes the things we find are meant to be passed on, and sometimes a little color is all it takes to brighten the world.